Good day, my name is Joe Gerba. Today I'm here with my wife Shelby, and we're going to do a little bit different video than normal. Today we're going to do a board game culling. It's time, it's 2022. We have a few too many games and a few too many we don't play. We watched Dads and Dice do a big haul that they brought in. Well, it's time for us, my wife and I, to do a culling. So here's some of the games, 22-ish, that we're going to get rid of in 2022.
Okay, first up, we have Batman Gotham City Chronicles.
So this game, you know, it just didn't, it was a lot of fun. It had a lot of good mechanics, but the scenario, you know, the miniatures were good, but the scenarios were just too tight. I always played the bad guys because the good guys were more fun, so I let Shelby play the good guys, and I felt like I was having to just hold some punches back, or else the bad guys really had to win unless you optimize the good guys. So, do you have any other thoughts on Batman?
It was fun. We had a good time playing it, but just not. There's other games I'd rather play. What it comes down to.
Yeah. So that's Batman, the Gotham City Chronicles. That's leaving our collection.
All right. Next on the list is a hefty one. The City of Kings.
So the City of Kings was it kind of had a campaign-ish thing going where there was different scenarios. You leveled up your people on this neat little board. Shelby was enjoying it, I think, but it didn't quite resonate, and it just kind of felt long in the tooth, and eventually we just took it off the table, and it never came back.
All right, controversial choice. Kanban EV. It's such a pretty game, honestly.
It really is. This is a game we both wanted to like. We're both into Formula One. We really enjoyed it. We thought this would be like a neat car building game, but instead, you know, we love our other two Vito Lasarda games, the Gallers and Lisboa, but this one just didn't fit the bill for 2 players. I would rather play the other ones if I'm going to play a Vital game, and I'm afraid to read the rules and get this would just be more of a pain than it would be fun. So looking forward to playing the Gallers and Lisboa, but unfortunately Kanban is leaving our collection.
All right, First Martians.
So First Martians was supposed to be a game that kind of replaced the Robinson Crusoe type, and if I'm gonna play that, I'm just gonna play Robinson Crusoe. We tried this; it was a little bit app-based, and we just didn't like it. So it's gonna be Robinson Crusoe from here on out for us.
All right, Trip Lock, Chip Theory games.
So we like our Too Many Bones. We like the lock-picking mechanic in there.
The little mini game.
Yeah, it's a little mini game, and they tried to make it a mini standalone game, and for us, it just didn't work very well. We should just play Too Many Bones and do the lock-picking.
Yeah.
So.
That's it. All right. Evolution.
Yeah, so Evolution is one of those games that we got many years ago. It was one of our first 5 games maybe, and it was fun, but for 2 players it's pretty cutthroat, and since you and I play mostly together, this game just doesn't quite work as well with 2. You know, grabbing the food from the middle, and you're eating your neighbors and getting the cards. Fun in theory, not the best for 2.
The carnivore cards.
Carnivore cards,
Real
indeed.
sad.
Yeah.
Real sad. All right, Prime Time.
You liked Prime Time, didn't you?
I did like Prime Time. I thought it was fun, but just kind of got stale after a while.
Yeah, it's the building your own TV company, trying to get, you know, certain cubes, demographics, if you will, for certain time slots, certain, you know, days, you know, star powers of the show. It was fun, but as Shelby said, just kind of, it's not one that I want to reach off the shelf and grab. You know, more fun with more players, and for 2, you know, I think you lose a day, you cut off a day with 2, and it just doesn't quite have that cutthroat prime time feel, you know, ABC versus NBC.
All right. Controversial again, I think. Dark Souls.
I'm not sure who this is controversial to, because I tried this again this year. I tried it when it came out. I just don't enjoy games where you have to set up, and when you lose, you set it up again the exact same way and say, well, I hope I can do it this time. The video game's fine, because I don't have to sit there and, you know, fiddle around, but the board game, not quite my style. And you know, when I told Shelby, hey, well, now we got to set the whole thing up again with more souls this time, she was like, no, can't do it. So that's Dark Souls, leaving our collection.
I think they're doing Elden Ring too, the same company.
That's probably going to be a pass for me.
All right, Xenoshift Dreadmire.
So Xenoshift was it's an okay game. It'd be an okay, you know, starter, but this one can get a little bit stale. Just kind of a small deck builder. It's fine, but it's just not one that we'll grab too often.
A classic, but it needs to go. Carcassonne.
Yeah, what did you think of Carcassonne? What do you...
I enjoyed it. We had all these games. We had fun playing initially, and then I just feel like there's better games with similar play styles that we're more likely to pull off the shelf.
Yeah, and especially for the tile laying game. And there's just a little... This just didn't have enough choice for me. And you know, I know there's a ton of expansions we could add, but you know, we've come to the conclusion that if you need expansions to make a game better, you know, maybe we need to start thinking about the base game itself. So it's an oldie, but it is leaving our collection.
Vault Wars. Joe's sad to see this one go.
I am. I'm devastated to see this one go. Devin over at Dads and Dice is just going to probably roll over, you know, his bed laughing at me. This game, I offer to play it every time with 3 or more players. It's just like storage, you know, Storage Wars. You know, that's what I wanted it to be. And I think it's pretty fun. For 2, it is terrible. And it's just tough to get this to the table with 3 or more. And it's just time to see Vault Wars go. So a Storage Wars, you know, kind of like game where you're bidding on vaults. Unfortunately, it hasn't been played in long enough for us to say adios.
Was that a Kickstarter?
I believe this was a Kickstarter, and I was really looking forward to this game, and not gonna lie, I still kind of like it, but it just doesn't get played enough to stay in our collection.
Okay. Sheriff of Nottingham.
What do you think?
I really like Sheriff of Nottingham. I think this is a great game. We've played it before, I think, with your parents, which is a fun game to play for people who don't really play board games. None of us are very good at lying, so I feel like it didn't go quite that well. But it was fun, you know. We had a good time playing. It was a good way to introduce them to a fun little board game to get to the table. I like it. I've watched you play it with friends before, where everyone's just screaming and yelling at each other at the table, trying to convince each other that they're not lying, throwing the money around. It's a really funny game, but again, I just think with 2 people, it's just not gonna come out very much.
It really is a big hit or miss with 3 to 4, but with 2, no, afraid not. So, you know, Sheriff is leaving our collection. All right, The Edge of Dawnfall. This is a game that, once again, I like to talk about a Devin from Dads and Dice. We split our Edge of Dawnfall. We got a couple of different ones. This was a Kickstarter game. This was actually a pretty neat game, but the longevity just didn't hold up, and, you know, it just didn't get to the table enough. And, you know, Shelby and I were not big one-on-one, you know, tactical thinking people. We don't like to really, duke it out on the table, unlike, Devin and I, who really like to duke it out, but we just don't play this enough to keep it in the collection.
Forbidden Desert.
It's a neat game. I think it's a neat little game. Unfortunately, I believe the dust on this game has really picked up. We just don't get it out enough. I love it when the winds move the sands across. To me, there can be an alpha gamer at the table, so they should almost put 1 to 5 players on this, and this could almost be just a solo game you play. So there can be an alpha gamer optimal move kind of air about it. So, if you want to play solo, I think this may be a decent game, but for us, it's gotta go.
It's like the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Settlers of Catan.
What do you think?
I feel like saying to a board game community that we're going to get rid of Settlers and Carcassonne, it's pretty sad, but we've grown our collection so much that just some of the gateway games, we've just kind of moved beyond those. And I say that in a nice, loving way. It's just not one that we're gonna choose. I feel like now there's more modern, like your Wingspans, your Cascadia. You could say that those are more gateway games that we would be more likely to play versus a Catan or...
Yeah, we got the Scrabble, the Monopoly, and all that, and what I call the closet of shame, the ones that they never get out. We also have the version that's, just 3 to 4 players, and we are board games for 2. I really like to make sure that every game that we get is great, for 2 and that we can play, but we just don't... If we had 4 people over, there's a lot of other games we would want to play and introduce, so...
I think I bought that way back when in the beginning I was trying to be the cool girlfriend, and I bought you Catan not even knowing that it was the 3 to 4 player version until just now I learned that. That's nice.
Alright, what do we got next?
Okay, we got a big one. Solomon Kane.
Solomon Kane.
Another miniature one.
Yeah, and this is super heavy. So this game it was story based, and we had a pretty good time until just the action economy kind of in the game just didn't quite work for us. You roll a couple of dice, you assign those, and you may do 2 to 3 actions on your turn. Depending on which, what they call them, not spirit, but virtue, like which virtue you're at, and it just didn't quite work. The stories, to be honest, you could just read them out of the Solomon Kane book, the little novellas. So
it was neat. It was different.
It was neat and different. Just didn't resonate with me for sure.
Yeah.
So Solomon Kane. 80 pounds.
All right. 7th Continent.
7th Continent. So, before Dark Souls was 7th Continent, which we had a decent time with it. We enjoyed exploring the map, and then we had to reset up and get off the initial island, and then we almost made it to where we were going. And then we realized that we died or perished or something, and we had to start all over again. Some people love that setup and do it all again multiple times. I did not. What did you think?
I'm the same way. It was really fun. That was the first time we've played a game that has like you're exploring and you flip a tile every time you move, so you don't really know what you're getting into when you land on the tile, which I thought was kind of cool. It was a neat little mechanic that we've seen in a few games since then.
Yeah.
So that's neat, but we just it's one of those for us. If we played it once, we're really not going to play it again. There's no
Right.
We know the story. I think we ended up finishing out the story.
We did, and that first scenario though, you move well, I don't want to spoil too much, but you move a long way, and to fail and have to redo it again, that was a little rough for me. So.
Sad. Okay, next up we have Fresco, a sentimental game in our collection. This was one of the first games, if you've watched the tabletop tag video, one of the first games that got me into the hobby. More so, Joe had already been playing games, but this was one that he bought for us. And it's a lot of fun. Won some pretty good awards, but it's another kind of...
The game is good. It's a good game. We just haven't got it off the shelf in a while, and it has some neat mechanics. But if we're gonna play kind of a style like Fresco, we may just pick up a viticulture. You choose when you wake up, you do your actions, and you kind of move on. It's neat. There's a little secret mechanic. There's the mixing of paints. There's a lot of good things in Fresco, but just for our collection, it's time for it to move on. It's a good game, great game, just it's time for it to go.
We had a good run. Lord of the Rings, the card game. This was Joe's choice, which is almost kind of funny because I'm not really a big deck builder gamer, but who doesn't love Lord of the Rings? So it's a great theme. We have all kinds of Lord of the Rings themed games, and they're always fun. And we would play where Joe would almost kind of build my deck, knowing the way that I like to play, which was fine with me. But in the big scheme of things, I think if you're playing a deck building game, the whole point is to kind of build your own deck. So
yeah, and this one you bring the deck to the scenario, so it's not like you're like deck crafting before you ever get there. You can theorize what you want, and Shelby's just not into that. So when I had to build two, I'd be poring over these cards, and then we'd do the scenario, and I'd pour back over it, and it's a good game. However, when Marvel Champions came out, and the ease of deck building and the quick nature of that game, and less locations than, kind of Lord of the Rings style, I would much rather play Marvel Champions now than kind of slog through Lord of the Rings. It's a good game, however, it is dated if you compare it to some of the newer styles. Fantasy Flight learned a lot from this game to develop Marvel Champions.
We have a ton of expansions for this too. We have like five or six maybe scenarios.
We do. It's kind of one of those, the more expansions you get, the more cards you have for your deck crafting, and then the more scenarios you have. So I couldn't help myself. I enjoy getting new things, kind of like our Marvel Dice Masters. Once you start, you kind of want more. So
living card game, probably.
All right, I think we got one or two more, so let's see what we got over there.
Ecos, First Continent.
Ecos by AEG. It was a decent little game, when it came in, but it's more beer and pretzels, kind of, easier gameplay. There just wasn't a whole lot to it for me. I don't know, it just didn't resonate with me, and I know Shelby likes the animal themes, but for me, the gameplay in this was just, it was fine.
I enjoyed it for what it was, but then we got Cascadia. I think AEG does Cascadia too, don't they? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's one of those where I don't think we really need both of them in our collection. And if Cascadia is better, then this one's gonna go.
Yeah. All right, looks like we got two left.
Okay. Dead of Winter.
Dead of Winter. This does not play well with two, and for three or more, Devin and Shelby will probably never play with me again because I think they had such a bad experience. I was the traitor. I played my game perfectly. I won, but I crushed the rest of the table. And for that reason, the 1 versus all doesn't really work for us. And once again, doesn't quite play with 2. Really fun game, really fun mechanics, really neat. But you know, you can take the trader cards out and have a good time. Just an odd kind of game, and not 1 for 2. What do you think?
I don't even want to talk about it.
Fair enough. All right, our last game.
All right, Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon.
So this is like a King Arthur kind of tale, where you're moving around, you're reading this storybook. It has really neat battle mechanics. It has really neat encounter mechanics. However, it just didn't quite move fast enough, or we didn't move fast enough because it was one of those timed games where you feel on the clock and have to go instead of exploring at your own pace. So that's why it's kind of leaving. We're not really the go, you know, gamers. We don't like, you know, the moving screen Marios or anything. So Tainted Grail, a lot of good mechanics, however, leaving our collection. So that's our 22 games.
22 games
that are going in 2022. So any last thoughts?
No, I'm sad to see him go. It's hard to make any cuts in our collection to cull the games, but I think it is time to get rid of some of these. As you said, there's dust collecting on a few of these, so I think it's time. So
Yeah, we revamped our back room, got a nice little cabinet filled with some games, and as we were kind of just reorganizing a little bit, we looked at some of these old games and said, are we ever going to play these again? Let's rehome them. Let's get rid of them. Somebody else can enjoy these games. Maybe find a way that, you know, that they can play it and that we didn't think about, or you know, maybe just help somebody else out that, you know, they were really looking forward to a game and it just didn't quite work for us. So that's all that we have. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and until next time. The game was fine. This is a neat beer and pretzels game for me. What do you think?
Ugh. Sorry.
What happened?
I don't know. I blanked. I didn't know.
I thought I segued to you really nicely.
Yeah, you did. I don't really know what a beer and pretzels game is. Okay, we got a heavy one. Oh, I don't like that.
Cut.
Okay.
We got a heavy one.
I don't know. Count me in.